Welcome, everyone, to Spotlight on the Arts. I am your host, Patrick Cristiano, the publisher of TheaterLife.com, a website for theater buffs in New York City and the Hamptons. And today, I am thrilled. I have a really special guest, Andra DeShields, a Broadway theater icon. He's an actor, dancer, writer, singer, novelist. What else? Andre, tell me.
Just a regular Joe. How's that?
Thank you so much for coming.
It's my pleasure, and I appreciate the invitation.
Oh.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Yeah.
No, Andre is playing Touchstone in John Doyle's As You Like It at Bay Street, and they just opened on Saturday night after.
Saturday, and you were there.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
We had a ball.
You guys had a
good time.
Wonderful, and you're a standout.
Oh, how kind of you. Thank you very much.
And you have another icon there, too, Ellen Burstyn.
Ellen Burstyn, yeah.
Oh, my.
We talk about icons. We've got one in the role of Jaques, which probably have people scratching their heads right now because Jaques is a male character. But that's part of the essence of John Doyle's conceit about As You Like It, and how perfectly wonderful it is in this 21st century when all things are sort of cross-pollinating and changing, and more than ever, things are not what they seem to be, that Ellen Burstyn is playing Jaques.
I don't know if you got to hear, because she spoke with me briefly. We did some interviews in the green room afterwards, and she spoke to me about her concept for Jaques' melancholy. Did she share this with you?
Yes, melancholia, which I think most people, more often than not, would associate with melodrama. But that isn't what melancholia in Shakespeare is about. And right now, I can't think of anyone who could more perfectly embody the concept of melancholia but Ellen Burstyn. She has this calm demeanor. Like we say, still waters run deep. She has this calm demeanor, which you know has a lot of, what's the word? A lot of depth.
That's the word, depth.
No, that is one of the words, but that is not the word I was looking for. It'll come to me and then I'll bring it back, but yeah.
Well, what she shared with me was her concept of how she played the melancholia, and she played him. She told me in the green room that she played him as a woman trapped in a man's body before they could have surgery, so she was sad all the time because she could never fulfill herself fully.
Well, it's very Jungian, isn't it? Because Carl Jung says that part of the problem of the human condition is that men spend half their lives denying the anima in themselves, the feminine part of themselves. And women spend their lives denying the animus, the male part of themselves.
Oh, we're talking about heterosexuals now.
We're talking about people.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think, I'm not sure I agree.
Well, you don't have to agree, but it's the shadow part of us
that part I agree
that we are constantly denying.
Right.
But now is the perfect time to be confronting it, because that's what's happening all over the world, in the body politic, the body emotional, the body intellectual, the body sexual. That's what people are dealing with now, the shadow part of themselves. And that is exactly what's at the heart, the essence of As You Like It.
And John Doyle brings that out really well.
He definitely does bring it out.
He's certainly a visionary director.
He's visionary, and better, and more to the point, because every director has to have a vision. But John is affable on his journey of excavating his vision, and he's unflappable. So he doesn't raise his voice, he doesn't yell. Everything is very civilized. But all the time, he's mining the moment for what it is he's trying to uncover. And it's what we in the theater in America would call minimalist, but the minimalist approach comes with a huge reward and meticulous.
Yeah, but,
is the word.
but it's minimalist, but it's filled.
Yes.
It's ultimately really filled, and in his
Yes.
minimalism, he gives you lots of room to fill it in
Yes.
all kinds of ways, which makes it really solid and has the depth and the soul that you're looking for. But we're digressing a little bit because I want to talk about
No, we're
you.
not digressing at all. We're talking about As You Like It.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't mean digressing. I mean, I'm getting away from where I want to go.
Oh, okay, well, go. I'll follow you. I'll follow you. Go.
Because I want to talk about you a little. I mean,
Okay.
I also wanted to talk about As You Like It because it was
Yeah.
a wonderful production.
And we
we're-
want people to come see it.
we want people to come
because
see
we
it.
only hear it
Yeah.
until September 3rd.
Give me the dates again. It's running until.
Well, we opened on the 12th.
Right.
Although we had a week of previews before that.
Mm-hmm.
But now we finish on September 3rd, which might seem like a long time away because it's Labor Day time.
Yeah, but it goes
But,
fast.
yeah,
It goes
it
really
goes
fast.
quickly.
Yeah, so get over to see As You Like It. It's a wonderful production. They do it, it's jazz inspired too. Stephen Schwartz has written some wonderful music how about 7 songs, right? It's at least,
Yeah, if you
it's a-
say 7, yeah. It seems more than that, though, because
Mm-hmm.
the interstitial material, what connects it, the scenes together, is the music. So sometimes it seems as if we're singing all the time. It's not a musical per se, though.
No, it's not a musical.
It's a Shakespeare play with music.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's edited it a bit. He's cut it down a little bit as well. So,
John has.
Yeah, so
Oh yes, because there's so much of Shakespeare that offers you beautiful language, but in terms of the politics that's being referenced, it would just boggle our minds because we don't have a monarchy here.
right.
We're not 2,000 years old. We're just sort of 300 years old. But what's important for the American audience to know about those political times and those relationships among the courtiers, the people who lived in the court, and the people who lived not in the court, who lived more or less by the laws of nature, are still very relevant today.
I never thought about that.
Think about it. Because not only does the journey, not only does the storytelling, but the characters change from when you meet them the first time in the Duke's court to when you meet them after the intermission in the Forest of Arden. Everybody's a little more laid back. Everybody is a little more him or her.
They're freed
self.
from their restrictions.
Yeah,
And they're,
exactly.
they're
Exactly.
they're
And
set
of course,
free.
because it's Shakespeare, there is this element of cross-dressing. So one never really knows from one minute to the next whom he's dealing with until the very end when everything is revealed. It's a happy ending.
And that's very much like life too. You never know who you're dealing with until you really get
Exactly.
down to them.
Yeah, things
until you
are
really
not
pay
what-
attention.
Things are not what they
It-
seem.
yes, exactly.
More often than not.
More often than not, it's
Yeah,
very
things
true.
are not, and how relevant that is right now.
Right.
We don't have to call any names, but you know what
Let's
I mean.
not.
Yeah.
But I want to show some people because last night I did a lot of research about you and I looked at a lot of videos.
Oh,
of-
good,
of your-
excellent. So you did your homework.
Well, I could have done more. I mean, I couldn't get finished for a long time here. But you made your Broadway debut in 1973. You're from Baltimore?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, yes.
Mm-hmm,
I'm not directly to New York from Baltimore, Maryland, but yeah.
And you were in a Chicago production of Hair.
That was my first professional show.
You know.
This is 1969. The very month that I graduated from college, the University of Wisconsin, I booked that gig.
But not too long after that, you made your first Broadway debut in a play called
Warp.
Warp, and you
Warp.
played the Unconquerable.
I played Alexander,
The
the
Unconquerable.
unconquerable ruler of the 6th dimension. See, some things haven't changed.
And then not too long after that, you
Before we move on, I would simply want to mention about Warp, because it played in Chicago at the Organic Theater Company, which was one of the many burgeoning theater companies in Chicago in the early 70s, which gave Chicago its legacy for a great Midwestern theater town. Probably the theater that's best known in Chicago now is Steppenwolf.
Yes, yes.
And the Goodman.
Right.
But when we were there in the late 60s, Chicago was bursting with young people with great ideas and storefront theaters, as if we were like dandelions, just growing wild.
Wow.
And the Organic Theater Company was one of those. And an enterprising producer saw the show, thought it would do well in New York, brought it here. We played at the Ambassador Theater. We opened on Valentine's Day, and we were summarily dismissed by the New York critics. But that's okay, because obviously, other than performing in Warp at the Ambassador, it was my way of getting to
Broadway.
New York.
Broadway.
Yes.
And not too long after that, you followed up with Ain't Misbehavin', and The Wiz, which came
Well,
first?
yeah,
The Wiz,
The Wiz came immediately after Warp, because Warp was 73.
1975.
Warp was 73, right, and then 74 we were doing the Broadway tryout of The Wiz in Baltimore, Detroit, and Philadelphia, and then by January of 75 we were opening at the Majestic Theater.
In The Wiz.
In The Wiz, yeah.
And then you followed that up with Ain't Misbehavin'.
Followed it up with Ain't Misbehavin', yeah.
And which of these went to London? You took some of these to London, too?
Yes. Now, they don't do they don't do tours like this any longer. But I did Ain't Misbehavin' on Broadway for a year.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to London, Paris,
Oh.
Tokyo. Then we came back to
They didn't tell me all that.
And then, of course, the national tour was San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Chicago. That's the way I like to tour.
That's a tour.
Yeah.
And what about The Wiz? Did that go to London, too?
No. Well, it did eventually, but not with me in the role.
Oh.
I did the national tour in the States. San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Chicago. That was the route then for The
Well,
Wiz.
I called out. I want to show some of these people.
Show.
I want to show the audience some of the vintage
Oh, please
Andre
do.
de Shields. Is that
Please
okay
do,
with you?
yeah.
There was a whole bunch, and I spent hours looking at stuff. But I picked out three just because of our time element and because of the people you worked. You worked with so many incredible people over your lifetime. I mean,
All of whom have taught me
you know,
something.
I didn't even mention that you were the choreographer for Bette Midler's Clams on the Half Shell and the Bette Midler Show. You choreographed the
Right,
backup
right,
dancers
right.
before you actually got to do Ain't Misbehavin'. Or The Wiz.
Exactly.
You know, and so you just
I was the first individual to choreograph Bette Midler's Harlots.
wow.
Yeah.
That's some gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, what we have first up, I want to show them, is
Okay.
from 1982. It's with Nell Carter. Now, tell me, this is Tain't Nobody's Business. Where was this?
Tain't Nobody's Business if I do. If it's from 1982, you are referencing the NBC special that was based on Ain't Misbehavin'.
Okay, so let's have it.
Right.
If I should take a notion to jump into the ocean, ain't nobody's business if I do. If I go to church on Sunday and cabaret all day on Monday, ain't nobody's business if I do. If my friend ain't got no money and I say take all mine, honey, ain't nobody's business if I do. I give her my last nickel, and that leaves me in a pickle. Ain't nobody's business if I do. There ain't nothing I can do, no nothing I can say that folks don't criticize me. But I'm gonna do just as I want to anyway, and don't care if they all despise me. Ow, 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 ow.
If I work, come on bragging and stay up on that racket, ain't nobody's business if I do.
Gotta give it to Amelie.
If I eat 3 turkeys you tell me, and now let's just begin. Ain't nobody's business if I did.
If I did real self set up, go home with someone better. Ain't nobody's business if I do. All right, we have it now. If I party, stay out drinking, and buy me a 10 grand Lincoln. Ain't nobody's business if I do.
If I see my wife alone and don't pay my alimony, ain't nobody's business if I did.
All right, let's see, let's play.
If I bow into some small thing, lift it down before I'm born, it ain't your business, it ain't my business, it ain't our business, it ain't their business. Ain't nobody's business if I do.
Who's that young man?
Oh, that's you. That's you and being fabulous.
We had a great time.
Fabulous.
A great time in that show. That was such a perfect experience to work with Nell Carter, Amelia McQueen, Charlene Woodard, and Ken Page. Now, I want to share something with you which is, I think, unique to the theater medium. Nell, of course, is no longer with us. But after the show finished its run on Broadway, the five of us maintained our relationships. I'm still in touch with Ken, who's now living in St. Louis. I'm still in touch with Charlene Woodard, who's currently playing Gertrude in Hamlet at the Public Theater. I'm still in touch with Amelia McQueen, who lives in Hollywood. It's a beautiful...
It's something that's very unique
Yeah,
to theater.
very-
You
yeah.
create a family when you do a show. And,
Yeah.
and have you seen this in a long time? You haven't probably.
No, I haven't seen it in
So
a
that was
long
a treat
time.
for you too.
Yeah. I mean, you see, I was grinning when we
I
were
did
watching
see.
it. I was saying, that guy looks like me.
So I'm going to move along fast.
Okay, move.
We don't
Go
have
ahead.
a lot of time, but
Go ahead.
I want to show one more clip, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to go out with one if we have time.
Okay.
If everything works well. This is one with Patti LaBelle
Oh, my.
at the Duke Ellington tribute.
You went way back.
In 1984.
Okay.
When we,
A woman, beautiful woman, coming on like crazy with a rosy glow. Beautiful woman, a strange kind of human, being so darn certain that I'll never know her secret brew. Build up my courage. What can I do? Where do I go to give up? Woman, voluptuous woman, a stacking of my daydreams. Will she stay or go? Her secret room, build up my courage. What can I do? Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go to give her? I'm talking about a woman, hungry to deny. Woman, stacking up my daydreams.
Stacking up your daydream.
Stacking up my daydream. Will she stay or go?
so was that a television tribute? Was
That was one of PBS's great performances.
Oh, cool.
To Duke Ellington. And Patti LaBelle was the star of the show, and I was her leading man. And we had a great time together.
I could say.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and I'm looking at this, and I jump ahead and I think about where you talk about being inspired by Yul Brynner.
Ah!
And are you channeling Yul Brynner a little here?
Well, no, not there. I'm not channeling you, Brenda.
But you
There.
said-
But wait a minute. I think you saw some of my work at the Classical Theater of Harlem.
I did.
And I think you might have seen Caligula.
I did.
I'm definitely channeling Yul Brynner in Caligula.
Okay.
Now, that may not mean anything to our listening audience, but
No,
maybe, maybe they'll do some research and Google Andre de Shields Caligula.
well, all we can do is hope to educate them a little bit.
Yeah,
and move
absolutely,
along.
yeah.
But and you know, time. I'm keeping looking at the clock.
Okay.
There's a lot of things I wanted to talk. Oh, you know what I wanted to talk about too? Besides was the production that you did in Chicago of Gotta Dance.
Gotta Dance.
With Lilias White.
With Lilias White, one of my favorite
She's lovely,
people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dynamite performer. too.
Dynamite.
Absolute dynamite.
Dynamite,
Tony Award winner
absolutely.
for The Life.
For The Life,
what
yes, indeed.
What a marvelous. Tell
Yeah.
me, what's happening with that?
Well, Gotta Dance had its out-of-town tryout in Chicago in 2015, right? And on our journey to Broadway, the name has changed.
Oh,
It's now called Halftime,
uh-huh.
right? Now, the reason for the name change is when we were doing Gotta Dance, most people would say, oh, Gotta Dance. Says, no, that's not what we're talking about. We wanted people to get some sort of vision of sports. Now, why? Because Gotta Dance is about a group of senior citizens who dance hip-hop during halftime of basketball games. This is based on a true story of a group called the Netsationals, who used to dance during halftime for the New Jersey Nets. And our producer, Dory Berenstein, did a documentary, and now she's taken the documentary and turned it into a musical. So our next step, now that it's changed from Gotta Dance to Halftime, is in the spring of 2018, we're going to be at Paper Mill Theater in New Jersey, hopefully just prior to our opening on Broadway. And
What year again?
2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next spring.
So you're on the schedule.
Yeah, we're on the schedule.
Well,
Yeah.
and did you get good reviews in Chicago?
Oh, we got excellent reviews. We got outstanding reviews. What I understand is we didn't come immediately to Broadway because in 2016, Hamilton was king,
Yeah, well,
right? And who wanted to go up against Hamilton?
nobody. 'Cause-
Okay, so you play the cards you're dealt.
So, since I don't have a lot of time left. What I want to do is
Do what you gotta do.
show some of. I brought some pictures of you at some things. You sent me some, and we've got some of them.
Yeah.
Let's just go through and Andre, tell us what they are. This is
Okay.
you and the Wiz.
This is the Wiz at the Majestic Theater
Okay.
in New York. This is just after our opening. This is Ain't Misbehavin'. That's the Viper's Drag, for which I got my Emmy Award.
Oh, you were terrific.
Yeah, this is the Full Monty.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell everyone. Can we come back to the studio for a second? Let's talk about the Full Monty for a second and pick up where we are. Because this is another one you took to London. And,
Yes. This also garnered me my second
Drama Desk.
Tony nomination.
Tony and Drama Desk, both, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Tony and Drama Desk nomination.
Yeah.
And it was a big hit.
A huge hit. And we took it to London, and we had an opportunity to do a command performance for the royal family.
Oh, how cool.
Oh, yes.
So you met the
And-
Queen?
Yes.
Oh,
But,
whoa.
but in theaters, what we call those boxes off to the side, that's originally where the royal family would come to the theater so they're not disturbed. So there's the royal family sitting in the boxes. Now, as you know, the Full Monty ends with a huge strip number. The guys go the Full Monty. Now, it's lit in such a way that when we are naked on stage, there's a bright light, you're blinded for a second, and by the time your vision comes back, we have our robes on. Well, if you're sitting off to the side,
The bright light doesn't kill it.
you can see you can see beyond the lighting effect. So the day after we did the royal performance for the Queen, the headlines in the newspapers was Queen Mum sees American bum. But yes, she allowed us to have an audience with her, and we had to go for a class into how to receive.
Curtsy?
Yes, how to receive the Queen, how not to look her straight in the eyes, how to wait for her to give her hand to you, because Americans always grabbing out, shaking, so forth. It was a lovely experience.
We're running out of time, so I want to tell everyone to get to Bay Street.
Yeah, we got to
See As You Like It. Go to baystreet.org to get your tickets and find out what's going on.
It's a great company. It's a great
company.
ensemble.
And you know what I want to go out with? We have from 2017.
What you got from 2017?
I've got Life at the La Mama 50th anniversary
wow.
celebration of hair. So we're
Of
just going
my
to go off
first
the air with this.
professional show.
Let's go off the air.
Thank you,
The song
Patrick.
that I used to sing, Mr. Andre de Shields.
I got life, mother. I got life, sister. I got freedom, brother. I got good times, man. I got crazy ways, daughter. I got $1 million charm, cousin. I got headaches and toothaches and bad times too, like you. I got my head, I got my head, I got